the important thing is to make sure that we show and demonstrate a level of maturity and grace when it comes to that loss, and making sure that we really show them that we are strong, that we're strong for them, that we're there for them. And that's really the important thing, is making sure that we show that we are there for them. Hey, what's going on, everybody? And welcome to another episode of Off the Mat. My name is Josh Dumoulin, and in today's episode, I'm going to be talking all about handling a loss at a tournament. You know, as a parent, this can be a really difficult thing to watch our kids go through. And so in today's episode, I'm going to be really speaking to you as parents who have had a child go to a martial arts tournament and maybe it didn't go as well as they wanted it to, or maybe they've done a belt exam and maybe they didn't do as good as they thought, and maybe they didn't pass, maybe they didn't earn their next belt. And the natural feelings afterwards that your child or young athlete is going to go through, and how we as parents can help make sure that we push them through. Because a real natural reaction to a loss at a tournament is they want to quit. And this happens all the time. And we have a lot of parents that come to us, especially now with tournament seasons really in play here. You know, there's always going to be somebody who's going to lose at the event. And it's natural afterwards where we have a parent come to us and say, yeah, my kid doesn't want to continue. They want to quit. You know, the tournament didn't go very well. They feel sad. They feel deflated. They're not motivated anymore, and they're really upset about it. And how we handle it as a parent is really important, because the thing to remember is how we react with that loss, how we react, we're really setting forward the tone for the rest of their life on how they can handle losing things. Because it doesn't matter if it's a martial arts tournament, a belt exam, a test at school, a project at school, or later on in their life, if it is a work project or a job that they've applied for, they're going to experience something where they're just not going to be the winner in it. And being able to understand how to lose is something really, really important, but also how to overcome that loss, push through, and continue on. That's going to be, really important. So you might just be thinking, well, it's just a loss at a tournament, but it really sets the tone for the rest of their life on how it is they can win and how they should lose, and just really how to overcome those things. So don't just put it off as something like, well, it's not that big of a deal. It's just a tournament. So what if they quit? That's not the attitude we want to approach. We want to make sure that we are really showing them that loss is okay, but overcoming it is really, really important. So I want to go through three things and three ways that we can, help our kids kind of overcome those things. 3 steps as a parent. As a parent, it can be really, really difficult. I'm a parent myself, and I have watched my son go to tournaments and not do as well as he wanted to do. And it was really hard on him. It was really hard on me. And most of the time, it's actually harder on us. We take it harder than they do. As a parent, when our kids slip and fall and they get hurt, we feel that pain. When they cry, we cry with them. When they're hurt emotionally, we hurt for them. And so as a parent, it can be really, really tough. But the important thing is to make sure that we show and demonstrate a level of maturity and grace when it comes to that loss, and making sure that we really show them that we are strong, that we're strong for them, that we're there for them. And that's really the important thing, is making sure that we show that we are there for them, that we're there to make sure that we show them that they are strong, that the loss is just temporary. Now, as an athlete, this can also be really tough. You have to remember, now some people have never really been in the competition field. I have been. And as an athlete, it is really, really tough. You train for months, sometimes years on end for a single event. And that loss can be really tragic. And in that moment, or for even days afterwards, there are so many thoughts and feelings running through your head. As an athlete, this can be really tragic. It's really hard as an athlete to go through this. One of two things usually are running through our head. One, we see and feel and remember all of the work that we went through leading up to that event, and it didn't go the way we wanted. We got outperformed by another person, and that can be really difficult. And sometimes what happens is we realize we didn't work hard enough. And we know when we've worked hard enough for a tournament, when we've worked hard enough for an event, and when all of that feeling comes to us and we go, you know what, maybe I just didn't work as hard as I thought I should have. Instead of going into into train 4 or 5 nights a week, I went in twice. Maybe once, maybe I slacked off for a little bit. My coach gave me some advice and some things to do, and I really didn't do them. And so when that happens and that whole feeling comes crashing in, that is really tough. And we have options and choices on how we handle that afterwards. So as a parent, I'm going to give you guys 3 steps on how to handle a loss, how to handle the loss from your child, and how you can help them push through. Because that's the important thing is making sure that when they want to quit, you push them not to. Like I said earlier, it is the pace and it's what we're teaching them, how they handle these things. It's this one event could set the tone for the rest of their life on how they handle future losses. So the first thing you want to make sure you do is acknowledge their feelings. Acknowledge that they are sad. Acknowledge that they are upset. Acknowledge that they are disappointed. That's okay. Again, those are normal feelings. Don't run away from them. Don't try to hide them. Don't make them feel bad about it. Acknowledge them. They are okay. Letting them actually express, yeah, I'm really upset about it. I'm angry. I'm upset. I'm furious with myself, with the day, with all of it. All of it is normal and it's okay. And being able to actually acknowledge those feelings is something that they need to do. Again, they've just gone through an event where they've worked for and have built up to. All of it has come into this one moment, and that moment didn't go the way they wanted to. They lost. So of course they're going to be going through many, many, many emotions. And like I said, disappointment and anger, those are 2 real heavy ones. And so actually acknowledging them is something that they need to do. Number 2, reflect and learn. So you want to be able to actually go back through that event and actually reflect on it. Going through, like, how did you feel in there? Did you feel like you were doing pretty good? Did you feel like you fought as hard as you should have? Do you feel like you could have moved as much? Do you feel like you kicked enough? Do you feel like you threw as many punches as he did? Did you get too many warnings? Depending on what sort of discipline you train in, depending on your rules in the art that you're competing in. But, how did you feel in those? Reflect on that. And the really cool thing is it's 2023 and you have a cell phone. Chances are you recorded that match. As difficult as it can be, watching a match that you've lost in is actually something that can help them go through that whole thing and kind of pick up, yeah, you know what? Maybe I didn't go as much as I thought I did. Maybe I didn't fight as hard as I thought I did. The other person threw more stuff than I did. They scored more than me. They landed more techniques than I did. Actually being able to be brutally honest and really see it firsthand on video can really help them actually go, you know what? maybe I've got some work to do. You know what? Maybe I didn't do as much as I thought I did. Because in that moment, I mean, it is in the ring, during a tournament, during a fight, during a match, it's a blur, man. Like, you sometimes have no idea what is happening. And you sometimes feel like I threw so much. I was doing so much moving. I was punching. I had my hands up. And then you rewatch that match and you're like, geez, my hands were down the entire time. Well, no wonder I got punched and kicked so many times. Boy, I stood still. I thought I was moving around the ring, but I was really in one spot. So being able to actually reflect on it and rewatch it can sometimes really help us as athletes come to terms with the whole thing. Actually being able to go, you know what? Okay, I got some work to do. So as you reflect with them, make sure you're real with them too. You don't want to just sugarcoat it. Yeah, they did a great job. They stepped in there. They did something that a lot of people didn't do. There's lots of people who didn't go to that tournament who could have, and they did. And that's an important piece, but actually being real with them, watching that, being real, dude, your hands are down. You didn't move as much as you thought you did. Being able to actually be real and have a real conversation with them can really make, put things in perspective for them. And the third thing here, and this one's really important, and this is get back on the mat as soon as possible. You don't want to waste any time here. Yeah, it's going to be tough. If you've competed on Saturday, it's going to be hard getting back to class on Monday. But the important thing is when they are feeling sad or upset or discouraged or deflated, it is important that they need to get back on the mat as soon as possible. They've got to get back to the floor. Don't give them a week. Don't give them a day. Get them back in as soon as possible. The longer they wait, the more those feelings of disappointment and shame and sadness tend to build up even more. And that's when they're going to want to quit. So if they're able to get to class on Monday, you get them to class. You don't wait for it. You get them in as soon as possible. That feeling, you don't want it to fester and build up to a point where getting them back on the floor is next to impossible. When you do this though, communicate with their coaches. Communicate with their instructors. Let them know that, yeah, they lost and they're really feeling upset about it. And you know what? Here's the thing. A really good coach, a really good instructor is going to know that feeling. If they've competed before, I guarantee you they've experienced a loss before too. I have probably experienced more losses than I have wins when it comes to being in the tournament scene. The only difference between me and a lot of other people is I didn't stop. So did I lose a lot of events? Sure I did. Did I win a lot? Yes. But those losses, if I quit on that first one, when I was a kid, when I was 5, 6 years old, when I first started competing, had I quit at that event, that I wouldn't be teaching Taekwondo. I wouldn't be running a school. I wouldn't be making a difference in the community I live in. I wouldn't be making a difference with the kids that I teach, the adults that I teach. I wouldn't have my kids that I have right now. They wouldn't be involved in this amazing sport, this amazing martial art. So again, getting them back in as soon as possible is going to be is super important. Again, not letting them wait too long, actually getting them back on the floor quickly, right away. Don't make them wait. This is not going to be the only loss they're going to experience. I said it earlier, they're going to have a school project that they're going to work hard on. And guess what? The teacher might not think it is as good as they think it is. They're going to apply for a job one day and somebody else is going to get that job. They are going to work really hard at work and hand in a project to their boss. And guess what? Their boss might not think it is as great as they think it is. And being able to know how to handle that, know how to handle that loss is really important. So, just going back through this, the 3 things to make sure you remember to do when your child wants to quit after they've lost a tournament or maybe after they've failed a belt test. The 3 things here: acknowledge their feelings, acknowledge their sadness, acknowledge their doubt, acknowledge their disappointment, reflect on this whole thing, rewatch their matches with them, watch it with them, go through it with them, reflect on the whole thing. What were they feeling during? How do they feel afterwards? And being able to go back to that moment when they were in the ring, how did they feel about it? And of course, get back on the mat as soon as possible. Get them back in there. Don't waste any time. Get them in there as soon as you can. If they competed on Saturday and they lost and they're feeling doubtful, they're feeling sad, they're feeling upset, get them back into class on Monday. Get them back on the mat, being able to be back with their coaches, back with their teammates, back with their instructors. Get them in that positive environment around people who are going to be able to help them get through that loss. Again, a good coach, a good instructor, chances are they've dealt with this themselves and they're going to know how to coach your child how to get through this moment they're having. So parents, remember, martial arts isn't just about winning. It's about learning, it's about growing, and it's about bettering yourself. I hope these 3 things helped you out with your child if they've experienced a loss in their martial arts or maybe at school. And I hope you can use these things to help you in future things with your child. Please don't forget to like and subscribe and leave us a review on whichever platform you're watching. And until we talk again, I'm Josh Dumoulin, and you've been listening to Off the Mat.